Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Untapped Podcast. My name is Jacob Gabel.
And my name is Jacob Wurtz. Guys, welcome to episode 159 of the Untapped Podcast. If this is your first time joining us, first of all, thank you. We are thrilled to have you here with us. We actually have 5 main formats of our show. So first, we have Forging Fortitude episodes. Now, in these episodes, we cover the mental side of our brand. So in these ones, we go over our anecdotal experiences with things like mindset and mentality. We then pass on tips and advice to you guys to then apply to your own lives. Next, we have Physical Vitality episodes. Now, in these ones, we cover the physical side of our brand. So we get to really showcase our expertise because you have 2 certified personal trainers. In these ones, we cover everything to do with Untapped Training through our fully custom Untapped Training app. So guys, if you have any questions or curiosities about what we offer, what we can help you do, then please reach out. We are very, very reachable guys. We also go over everything to do with the gym, nutrition on a more basic level, but workouts, mental toughness programs like 75 Hard, supplements, and then sometimes we will even take trending articles or topics within the fitness industry and give our thoughts and opinions on those. Guys, these Physical Vitality episodes are full of free game, so make sure that you pay attention.
Can't wait to dive into this one today, dude.
Yeah.
All right, guys, on to our third format. That is our breaking news format. That is a current event-based format. Now, we sit down and touch on current articles or events going on in today's world. Now, keep in mind, we could do 3 to 4 episodes like this a week. We're not going to do that. We're not going to make that our whole personality. We come to you with solutions on these episodes and how we can really turn things around in mainly the United States, of course, because that's where we are, but also in the world. Now, on to our fourth format. That is our Knights Table format. It is a masculinity-based format. We sit down and touch on things like toxic masculinity, if it's real, what it is, fatherhood, the impact it's had on our lives, and male-based topics in general and how important men are to the future of the world and also especially this country. And keeping in mind here, I'm 26, Wurtz is 26. Our producer, Mitch, is 24. Because of that reason, we are not coming to you as some all put together perfect man. The only perfect man to ever walk this earth is Jesus Christ. Now, on to our fifth format. That is our guest format. We sit down and talk with entrepreneurs, fitness professionals, athletes, doctors, anybody with a great story and that's going to bring you value. We want to sit down, have a conversation with them, bring you guys a lot of value. We're going to learn a lot from these episodes. You are also going to learn a lot from these episodes as well. Our last thing to introduce before we get into the episode is our producer and my brother, Mitchell Gabel.
Yo, yo, yo.
What up, my...
Oh man, gosh.
Careful, guys. Sorry, guys. Yep.
What the heck with this guy?
I would have had somebody finish it for me, but I mean, we don't. Yeah. But okay.
Yeah. I wanted to say real quick, because I don't know about you, but in the last, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, it feels like I've talked to a lot of people about the podcast and what we do, and just
you have said that a lot.
They're asking questions and things like that. So first of all, if you are a brand new listener, like I already said, thank you for being here. But in case you didn't know, we've been doing this a little bit over 3 years. We do have a fully custom app for Untapped Training. So we do offer online personal training. This guy right here does offer in-person personal training as well. So if you want in-person, get a hold of him. But welcome. This has been quite a journey. We have not always had the setup that we currently have with the fancy lights and cameras and mics and all this stuff. It used to be one single mic in between the two of us on...
Got the job done, though.
A very old iPad for the video portion of this, which is now our timer. It has...
A little bit of a downgrade, to say the least.
It took a downgrade in the payment category, yes, for sure. But anyway, we are thrilled to have you here with us. So I just want to do that real quick because
I love that.
We didn't just start this podcast yesterday. We have been doing this for quite some time.
Thought maybe you were going to tell them what we're about. We don't like boomers.
Well, we don't dislike boomers necessarily.
Yeah, it depends which ones. Yeah.
Right.
Like our parents are cool, but outside of that, then no.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, we're all about fitness though.
All about fitness, all about getting better.
Mental fitness, physical fitness.
What else are we talking? What else are we talking about on here? Masculinity, obviously, as you guys notice, is a big topic for us. Conspiracy theories, that's a big one for us. Yeah, of course, as any masculine man should
That's
be
right.
taking part in conspiracy theories.
We like to be curious and ask questions when it comes to breaking news episodes.
Correct.
We are curious. We like to ask questions.
We're not a regular conservative podcast either. We like to look outside the box on things and look at different angles on things too. It's not just, oh, this came out, Trump did this, it's this way. Right. It's not one way or another. It could have different angles. We look at it, that type of stuff too.
We're not black-pilled. We're not red-pilled.
We're not white-pilled. Well, or are we?
I don't even know what
white-pilled is. It's like hope.
Oh.
Like hope-pilled, basically. Yeah, to some degree. Yeah.
Well, anyway, welcome. Today's episode, for episode 159, we're actually going to base this entire episode off of a recent Q&A question that we had submitted to you guys. So there will not be a normal Q&A segment at the end of this one, but this entire episode, because this is actually a really good question. And I think it's one that people probably ponder a lot for those gym goers, and or for those of us that are gym goers. That's what I meant to say there. But the question was, do you get what you pay for when it comes to a gym? Or if you put in the effort, does it matter where you go? So it's actually a pretty good question because there's a million gyms out there. Some big ones, some small ones, some locally owned, some commercial.
Some only private training.
Mm-hmm. There's studio gyms. There's, group class gyms. There's only personal training gyms. There's CrossFit, which, that's not really a gym. That's more of a...
there's High Rocks.
Well, we'll just leave it at that. But hey, High Rocks is kind of cool. I know we hate on CrossFit.
I know you're kind of hooked on High Rocks.
I am a little bit.
I still am not sold on it. Personally.
I don't know. I'm getting that feeling where I want to train for something and do something because I never have. But
untapped football game.
Well, I've done that and I dominate every time, so it's too easy for me.
Here we go. Okay.
Anyway, back to the point. There's all kinds of gyms. Some you could literally pay $10 a month for. Mm-hmm. Some you could pay $500 for, or whatever. And
counting all in, because obviously you're talking like $500 a month. You're probably looking at a place in New York of some sort. That would be base level $500 a month.
Yes.
The highest I think I've seen base level membership around here is like $200 to $250, somewhere in that range.
That was base?
That was base level. I forgot. Because obviously there's lifetimes around
us
here in St. Louis and whatnot. Those are $200 a month, I believe. But I don't know if I want to say I've heard of one that was $250 at one point in time, but it might have gone out of business.
Gotcha.
Don't quote me on that 100%. But yeah.
So I think at least my initial reaction to the question is because I currently have two different gym memberships. One, actually, I guess technically they're both locally owned, although one is more of a chain. But one is locally owned. It's old school style, very much a bodybuilding gym. Any piece of equipment, any type of machine you could want, it's in there. All the niche, cool type equipment that is not seen anywhere else, they have it. And on the other hand, and it's big too. It's a bigger gym. And
probably 20,000 square feet?
Yeah, something like that probably.
Yeah, right.
Sauna, posing room, a little shop with food and stuff in it. It's legit, On the other hand, the other one that I have, and actually this is where I go most of the time now, is a much smaller gym. Very small gym. All of your basic equipment, only a couple racks, one platform, that type of thing. One rack of dumbbells. Then we'll go up to 100. So two very contrasting types of gyms, right? Mm-hmm. What I have had to tell myself, because for the longest time, every single day I was in the first one I was talking about there. And I loved it, But right now it just makes more sense for me to go, to the other one on a more regular basis. And when I first started going there, I'm like, man, this sucks. Like this just, I feel like I'm kind of outgrown of this. Limited for sure. There's no doubt. Definitely limited. However, it is a little surprising. You've been in there with me.
I didn't feel limited when I joined you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So maybe not even necessarily limited, but I feel kind of outgrown from a place like that. But it's where I go most days now. And I've had to tell myself on many occasions, it is what I make it is. If I have the mindset like, man, this place sucks, piece of shit, it doesn't have any of the cool equipment I want, I don't have room to jump, or if I want to run some sprints or something, which really the other one doesn't necessarily have room for sprints per se. But it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. It's tiny, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? Then I'm going to have really bad workouts in here.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be less inclined to go to the gym. And at some point, I would just cancel the membership probably, you know. However, I don't have to drive 20 minutes out of my way after driving around all day for work. I can get home, change, and go, and it's right there. So there's really no excuses for me to not go to the gym because it's super close to my house. So I've had to tell myself repeatedly, this place is what I make it. If I have a positive outlook on this place, then I will have positive outcomes, you know, and I'm still getting to the gym because this place, it couldn't be there, you know, like there's a world that we live in where that place isn't right there. You know, it's not a 3-minute drive away. So then I would have other decisions to make. But anyway, so there's no excuses to not be there. And if I use the equipment that is available, use the space that is available, I can make it work and I can get results here and I can be satisfied with the work that I do in there, you know? So that would be my argument for if you put in the effort, doesn't matter where you go. Not really. Because if you put in the effort, it doesn't really matter where you go. You and I, we've gotten great workouts on our driveways, you know, or on top of a parking garage or in a parking lot. Like we've gotten great workouts in on a track with a little bit of equipment or sometimes no equipment, you know?
Yeah, I think to break it down for people listening to the episode, I think the best way to break this down would be there's going to be two populations or options you run into. So you're talking about areas you live in. So there's either going to be an area with an abundance of gyms as options, or there's going to be an area with a lack of gyms or a very low abundance of gyms. Then below that, there's also going to be multiple populations of people that, and depending on how they train and how they actually get active and what motivates them to be active in these areas. And both of these areas are going to be different populations and what they require to stay healthy. And the two at the top are either, like I said, one, you hardly have access to gyms. For example, rural Missouri would be a great example.
Sure.
All three of us drive through there very consistently. There's maybe one gym in each town, which again also means that gym is very close in proximity to the people in that town, because if it's a small town, it's probably max a 10 to 15 minute drive for the people that have far away properties, for example. Now, if you're in an area like St. Louis County or St. Charles County or in the city, or near any city center and then the counties outside of it, you're going to have an abundance of options when it comes to fitness.
Definitely.
Whether that's tracks, whether that's gyms, all the gym options we listed at the start of the episode here and whatnot, to break that down and give everybody a good look at it. Now, so it's going to depend on where you're at. If you're somebody that wants to consistently strength train, you could do that in these areas that are rural or that don't have many options in them. You could do that body weight too, or you could go to this one gym. So you have two options to work with there. Both of them, you have to pick one.
Or, well, there is another one. Or you fork out a decent amount of money and build out a home gym.
Exactly. Or you fork out, exactly. Or you just get a limited amount of equipment and work with that too. So there are basically two options, but you can have one option of the body weight. You can expand that into the home gym, for example.
Yes.
Or you can go to the gym that's in your area. Like an Anytime Fitness would be a good example of a lot of places that are in these smaller towns, for example.
Yeah.
If you're in the populated area, you have a lot more to pick from, and it depends what your goals are. You know, if you want to be a part of just a really tight-knit community, you go to a group class place, or you go to a place with private and then group training in that place only. You know, and you just want to have that community and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't want to worry about other gym goers or high school kids or whatever is in these big, massive gyms.
Like F45, for example?
Exactly. Now, most of the time for group classes, F45 is a great example of that. Group classes and or private training places, they'll probably be a little bit more of a premium cost-wise.
Sure.
Because you are literally buying it for the premium piece of the place, so to speak. Privacy of the place, so to speak. Which makes sense and is honestly a good reason to buy one of those memberships.
And you're paying for the training aspect too.
And you're paying for the training aspect, 100%. Because obviously it's not cheap to pay trainers to do group training.
Right.
But if you're looking for like a commercialized gym in a very populated area, that's going to be a cheaper price for a lot of these places. A lot of what it gets described as, me working in the large box gyms that I have in the past, what it gets described as is high volume, low pricing. So HVLP model. And they basically just have 3,000 plus members at one location, but it's $35 at the most a month for a base level membership, for example, which is great. if you can self-motivate and get yourself there as it is. Now, there's also an option of trainers there too. If you want to be around a lot of people and you don't mind that, you're still probably going to get a cheaper cost even with a trainer at these places than you would at the group classes or the private training locations as well. So there's a lot to work with here, and I'm kind of breaking down options so people understand it of where we're at here on this. But there's also the option of the higher end membership, and you're getting things like Lifetime, for example, has anything from the pool, the sauna, to the kids care for the parents that have that, which is, by the way, huge for you parents with kiddos for sure. If you want to also make it easier on yourself to be fit, having kids care while you're at the gym, even a YMCA would be a good option of this, is massive, because then you don't have to worry about your kiddo. You can go for an hour, then come back, pick them up, and leave. And you get your work done, right? So that's an awesome option. But again, kid care, pool, sauna,
basketball
gym
courts,
area, basketball courts,
locker
rooms, all of the stuff, a cafe and Lifetime, for example, all this stuff is included. There's a spa there, and it's a huge gym. So in the case of Lifetime, you are going to get what you pay for. Like $200 a month is going to cover actually a lot.
Sure.
People say, oh my gosh, $200 a month, because most people, when they hear that price, they're like, I would only use the gym. It's like, okay, if you're only going to use the gym, then go somewhere else for sure. But if you're going to use the amenities, go to Lifetime 100%, because it's going to cover a lot of bases for you. The trainers are going to be more expensive there 100% too. But most gyms, even like an Iron Hive, that's a local gym and a local business. The reason I go there is because it's a local business. I started training there for that reason, because one, I was a member already and I knew the owners and it was a local business. Boom. And Mitchell goes there as well. So
House of Pain would be like that too.
House of Pain's exactly like that as well. Again, it's a local gym, and that's why you go there, because you want to support the local economy in that scenario. Which also, if you go to a chain gym, you're still technically supporting the local economy because those taxes do go to it. But the point remains, somebody in St. Louis compared to somebody that's a like headquartered in another state, for example, is an option there. So to break that down, I think if you're in an area with choices that you can make, I think you need to break down your goals from the top up.
Yeah.
Do I just want to lose weight? Okay, well, I can go to a gym and get a trainer that's a local gym and either get a base membership, or if I already know how to train myself, perfect. But if I don't know how to train, then I'm going to have to get a trainer as well, so it's going to up my cost along with that. Perfect. Okay, good. Then I know these options that way. If I want all the amenities and I know how to train, okay, then you go to a Lifetime. That's a higher level place to go to, but you're going to have all these bases covered that you want. It's also going to give you peace and quiet, because those more expensive ones, you're going to get away from a certain part of the population, a lower quintile of the population, so to speak, that you might have to deal with at lower cost gyms, which is, by the way, true. And anybody that denies that is lying to you. Like if you pay more for stuff, you're going to have a more quieter, peaceful experience.
Right.
If you pay more for stuff, there's just no doubt about it. But yeah, that's kind of a breakdown. And Wurtz is right. If you know how to train, you could go anywhere. Yeah. Like if you're somebody that already knows how to exercise to some degree, you played sports, whatever it is, et cetera, or you just want programming from us, for example, when we hand you a program, you could literally do that anywhere. You could do that at a field, you could do that at a parking garage, you could do that at the local gym in rural Missouri, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You could get it done. Yeah. If you're somebody, though, that needs that extra push, that's when you look at the private and group training places and the higher level places like Lifetime and whatnot, and check those out. Or you look for a trainer at a local gym as well, like in my case at Iron Hive, for example. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. I don't think there's like a black and white answer to it, because I would agree that any human being could have the potential to train hard and effectively train by themselves anywhere. Like even if you're going into the middle of rural Missouri and you are on your property, you should be able to like run on your property or go for a walk in that area and whatnot. For example, like no matter what, even if you have no equipment, you have equipment and you have a way to get active no matter what. For sure, there's that aspect. But that's why people live in counties and the cities, because they gives them an option of an abundance of options to do that. There's also that aspect of it where you have to weigh the options. Now, the people, when you start paying more for training, that's usually later on in your training journey too. I want to make that clear as well, to where a lot of the times you and I are more willing to spend money on supplements, on other stuff like gyms, et cetera, because we know how important it is. Yeah. So the first couple years, you probably won't be willing to do that. But if you don't get any results and you start noticing you're kind of stagnant, that's when you're like, oh man, maybe I do need to pay a little bit more of a premium to add to my gym experience in some manner, whether it's with an online trainer, in-person trainer, whether it's at a private place like we talked about, et cetera. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of options to this question, but yeah, that's the whole breakdown. Sorry to go on like a whole tangent, but I wanted to break down the whole question for people.
No, I think you broke that down in a very digestible way. I think the evaluating what your goals are is actually a very important piece of this puzzle here. Because again, people like you and I, which a lot of our community and a lot of our following and audience, like you guys would fit into this category, similar to us, where, you have been training for some time and you at least know how to train. Even if it's at a basic level, like you still do know how to train. But there's also plenty of times where you and I follow other people's programs. You know what I mean? Like I'm currently doing that. Mostly just because I don't feel like always writing my own program, because sometimes it's nice to go for an 8-week program that I didn't have to sit down and think about writing, That's why people train with trainers, is to take their mind off it a little bit. Well, and especially if you don't have any experience training, like you should work with a coach.
Yeah.
Like you really should,
Otherwise you will be lost.
You will be lost.
You will look like the people in public gyms that have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's not a roast. That's just to say, like, you're not going to get results doing
right. And you may get hurt even, But no, I like that. Starting with evaluating what your goals are. Let's say I was going to do like a High Rocks event or something. There's a chance like I would get a coach for that because I've never trained for something like that. You know what I mean? Like, could I get it done? For sure. Could you help me and we could both get it done? Absolutely. Like I have all the confidence in the world. And if we're being honest, that's probably what would happen.
Right.
But, the point remains. Professional athletes still have coaches. They're pretty good at skating on the ice or hitting baseballs, but they still have coaches. You know what I mean? So it's the same idea. We're good coaches at what we do. We still get plenty of knowledge from other coaches.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, like that's something we do a lot of, whether it's fitness coaches or business related stuff as well. Like we take in a lot of information from other people that we trust.
Well, for example, like even me with hockey, a sport I've played since I was 4 years old, I would still go to somebody like Jeff, and I would still, Lavecchio for those of you that don't know, but I would still go to him and I would ask him tips on skating, on shooting, that type of stuff over, just trying to do it on my own.
Right.
There, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you look for somebody with more experience in that area and you work with it. Now with training, you're right. It's pretty straightforward. Like with High Rocks, I would look at the competition, see what's in the competition, see what's involved in the competition. Okay, now you break down the program from there.
Exactly.
Training's pretty simple with that stuff in a lot of ways.
Sure.
But somebody like that works with professional athletes, for example, will be more detailed with all that stuff as well. You don't have to be, especially early on with general population clients, it can be pretty straightforward with training in a lot of ways for people. It doesn't have to be super complex unless you are training for those super high level goals like the professional athletes are in that scenario. So, yeah. What do you got, Mil?
Mitch, you got anything
Calm
to add
us down there, eh?
You got nothing to add?
No, he has to have something to add, remember?
Come on now.
We did tell him that's part of it.
You're telling me that it does matter where you go, or does it not matter where you go?
Did you add into, well, you guys talked a little bit about it with the cultural aspect of being around group training.
Mm-hmm.
You can also talk about, as most things in life, typically when you spend more money, the quality increases.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's kind of your thing, if you want to have nice marble floors and really nice locker rooms and towels and people who smile at you and treat you nice and not to say there's not assholes at a $250 gym, because I guarantee there are.
Yeah.
But
it's a less likelihood.
Yes.
Well, you're one of them.
Yes,
right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's that short man syndrome.
Yeah. Wow, he did
Mitchell's really the only guy I've ever met that doesn't have angry short man syndrome. That's
True.
like 5'8" and below. You know what I mean?
Well, Jake doesn't.
I thought Jake was like 5'10".
Yeah, it's because I'm 5'11" and a half.
You said what did you say?
5'11" and a half.
Yeah, I'm actually 5'11" and a half.
With heels on.
Is that what you put on your hinge? Is that what you put in your Hinge profile for your fiance?
Yep.
Well, it's when he wears his heels, when he's doing his drag shows.
He does like putting his dress.
No,
on,
it's those moon boots that you would see on infomercials as a kid.
Moon boots.
Oh my gosh.
No, I think that's true though, because that goes the higher level you spend of money, you're going to have a higher quintile of population you're going to deal with. Like there's just no doubt about that. That's why, because I don't think when it comes to gyms, I don't think people are going to high level gyms just to have like a higher level training facility most of the time. They're usually going for a certain reason population-wise.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. You know,
Right.
if you're around people with money, usually it does come with a certain quality and standard at the place too.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
there's also an aspect of the ego too. Like, oh, I'm not going to go to Club Fitness. I can afford Lifetime. I'll go to Lifetime. And then they get to tell people that they go to Lifetime.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. You hope that that's not the approach.
When
I know
was,
for a fact it is.
Yeah.
when I was training there was an aspect of that. But for the most part, a lot of those people, like for the most part, what I saw was young families or middle-aged families who would go there, and they did it because of the fact that they liked all the amenities and like the population there. You know what I mean? Now, was there a few people that were like really uppity about it? Usually those people were the brokest at the gym.
That is
funny
true.
enough. That's what's so funny about it, because the people that had a lot of wealth, you never knew it.
Yeah.
You never knew it there. And then all of a sudden you train them. I'd train these people, and then they'd tell you about their 4 properties or whatever that they're planning to go. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you came in like these rundown Brooks shoes or whatnot. You would have no clue this person was a multimillionaire, for example, or something like that. So
ripped up tank top or something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, true.
So all 2 pieces of that is the decisions of what you want to do with your training. A place like a Lifetime gives you the option to have cycling classes, gives you the option to have Pilates and swimming and other opportunities like that.
Great for the wife.
Well, yes, but also if you're a dude and you want to like mix up and not train bodybuilder style 6 days a week,
Right.
it gives you the opportunity to do that kind of stuff under one roof. So that's a great opportunity. And then the other thing I would comment on is actually like a experience Jacob and I had at Lifetime Frontenac here in St. Louis with a very well-spoken gentleman that we sat and talked to for probably 2 hours.
I know you were talking about.
And
it was awesome.
And it was quality conversation and very good life advice and him knowing people and connecting people. So you get that aspect out of that kind of in interactions as well.
Right.
Where it's a little bit more elevated.
If I remember correctly, Mitchell, in that conversation, did we ask him about like real estate investments, or what was that conversation about?
I can't remember.
It was something along those lines. I remember it was something. It was more of a conversation where this guy had real experience in the financial industry of some sort, and his takes were very interesting. He wasn't brash or cocky about it or anything like that. He was just willing to sit down with Mitchell and I and have a real conversation. So again, like Mitchell's saying, that's what you're going to get at places like that too. There is a networking aspect as well that comes along with it, because a place like Lifetime Frontenac also has, business areas you can use too. So it has like conference rooms. It has, rooms you can do work in. You can work from home in at Frontenac, for example, and whatnot. So, and then you can just pop upstairs, get a quick workout in, and then come back down after a call or something like that.
You could expand that outside of gyms, but most places that have a bar to entry, a really fancy golf course, a really fancy gym, a really fancy restaurant, there's a certain level of behavior that's expected out of those places because that bar is set from the beginning. So,
right. That's actually a really good point.
I was going to say, what did I tell you at Aberdeen when we were there this last Saturday?
That we deserve to play
on Tuesday again.
That we deserve to be playing at St. Albans.
Correct. Yeah, that's true. Very true. But I mean, why do they get memberships at St. Albans for 5 figures plus or whatnot?
Exactly.
For example.
I mean,
it's everything that Mitch just
you could
said.
go to the Holy Grail and say the Masters. And everybody respects it when you go there. No phone. You know the expectation as soon as you walk in. You shape your behavior to that standard. You don't try and bring the course down to your shitty standard.
Right.
You meet the course's standard because I need to be on game.
Yeah.
So
I got to imagine the Kentucky Derby is the same way. That
100%.
was just this past weekend, and obviously that's a very elegant event as well. So same idea as what you're describing.
Yeah,
right now.
that's why I enjoy playing golf, because there's a certain population out there too.
Absolutely.
We got paired up with one guy. I remember when we were playing. He gave us like really random life advice and whatnot. I remember you know what I'm talking about, but it's one of those things where that's who you're going to run into in these scenarios. And if you pay for a course like Aberdeen or Crescent Farms or Peevely or whatnot, you're probably going to be around people that are really good to learn from.
Well, or the Bluffs.
Or the Bluffs, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, think about the people we saw there. You know what I mean?
Our Bosky.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's little things like that. That's what you're paying to be around at one time.
The Mad Hungarian.
It's awesome.
outside of golf, you touched on it. If you're going in F45, I don't want to be around, the SARM goblins of the world. I want to go to something where I can get my workout done and go hard as all get out and not be bothered. Well, there's a bar to entry there.
Yeah.
A high school kid isn't going to pay $150 a month.
Right.
They're going to go to the local Planet Fitness and set off the lunk alarm.
Yeah.
Funny enough as it is, those videos are hilarious.
Right.
But, there's a bar to entry which comes with that behavior.
You're not going to get the grunting either at those places during, when somebody's lifting and whatnot that you hear in public gyms. And it's like, bro, shut
It's
up.
the worst. 5, 6,
1, 2,
It's like,
3.
bro,
It's like, bro, I don't need your rep count.
yeah, bro. Well, it's also like, bro, you're not lifting heavy weight right now either. Like, shut up. Gosh.
Or their warm up bench says
Bro.
it's the bar.
The only guys who can grunt like that are like Brian Shaw and Thor, like half Thor Bjornsson. Yeah,
Yeah.
like those guys that are picking up 1,000 pounds or whatnot.
Or Will.
Okay. Or Will.
Will
Doesn't even grunt though. Will's quiet as hell. Yeah, that dude will do 315 and it looks like he's not even breathing while he's doing it. It's like, what in the world? Yeah.
Same.
But again, like that's a good example. Like Will's lifting a ton of weight. He's not like that while he's in there. He's not doing that.
The poor people's ears listening right now. We're just screaming into the mic.
We really should have gave like an audio warning before we said that too, or something.
Warning.
You will hear loud noises in 5, 4. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, that's going to be episode 159. Again, this whole episode was based off a Q&A question, so make sure you continue submitting those questions to us because you never know. If it's a good enough question, we may actually turn an entire episode into an answer to your question. Now, we have a few different ways real quick here that we would like you guys to submit these questions to us. First, you can DM them to us on Instagram at untapped.llp. You can also DM them to us individually, or you can text them to us if you have our numbers. Next, you can email them to us. Our email is extricationfitness@gmail.com. There is an email button in our Instagram and Facebook bios to make it a little bit easier. You can also leave them in the comments of any of our social media posts. So that includes Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. We're on all 4 of those. So you can leave them in the comments of any of our posts on there. All of these questions, regardless of how they are submitted, get sent over to Money Mitch. He then will pick one out. He will then pick one out that
Those Busch Light apples got an early visit, didn't they?
that. Damn it! I'm not drunk right now. What? Anyway, he will pick one out that pertains to the episode that we are currently doing, a past episode that we've done, or sometimes they are just a random question about fitness. Sometimes they're funny. Could be supplement related, whatever. These guys, these questions, man, you got me all jacked up now.
You can also ask why Wurtz is gay, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to
What
dive in
the
for a Q&A
hell?
question on that.
Oh, I need to get this over with so this stops. I don't even remember where I was going.
Share the damn show.
Submit your questions, share the show, and go get yourself an untapped smoothie from your nearest S2 location with a smoothie bar.
Columbia.
Until next time,
I was going to say the locations, Wurtz. Come on.
peace and love.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.